A few days ago, I did my first ever live stream where I taught my patrons how I created this looping water shader for a themed asset pack they voted on.
So you guys actually voted on Heartborn the most.
As it was my first time going live, I was pretty nervous.
Thank you. I was very nervous about that.
But also really excited to share what techniques worked best for getting that Studio Ghibli style. And today, I'm gonna give you a peek into that process. If you're new here, my name is Christian, and welcome to the Comfee Mug Channel, where we learn 3D anime and stylized animations while I build my own short films, one frame at a time. If that sounds like your kind of thing, make sure to like and subscribe with notifications enabled so you don't miss out. And now, let's get into the stream.
But this is the general idea of what we'll be going over today. This doesn't just work with this style of water, I guess. It can work with any sort of water or other texture that you guys might be interested in looping. Should we go into getting the coloring and the texturing right first, or do you want to see how the loop node setup works first? What do you guys think? No preference. This stuff is well, I mean, it's definitely not going to be out of your skill level after this stream for sure. I would say 75% of this is just duplicating the same thing over and over again. Like, these are the same, right? And they all just have different adjustments to them to add different levels of layering and whatnot. Like, you can kind of see here, if I zoom in on this, we have different colorizations, different things going on. So I'll press play, and so we have the white layer that's kind of reflecting the sun, or at least it's emulating that reflection of the sun. We have a couple bubbles and whatnot that are appearing, as well as the fake shadows around. We can probably start with just setting up one of the textures, and it's literally just going to be setting up this right here. Okay, so now you can press Shift A, click on the little search thing, and just search for Voronoi. I spelled that wrong. Voronoi texture. Right. And we have that, and we can click on this and press Control T and connect the object texture coordinate vector input to the mapping node. We can tidy things up a little bit with that. But yeah, so and then I'll also want a color ramp. Put the distance into the color. What's pretty cool about the distance rather than the color here is that you do automatically get these more rounded shapes and softer, even if you don't have smooth F1 enabled. I still like to enable smooth F1. But it's all just up to your preferences here. I think that if you're trying to make caustics, let me see if I can pull up a picture of, yeah, they're these. Okay, so these are caustics, right? If you're doing those, then you probably want to stick with the regular F1 shader and just crank these bad boys up, so you have those a little bit sharper edges like the caustics have. Other than that, you'll want to stick with the smooth F1. So we'll just have that right there for now. And then I am going to just do the invert color hack right there. So now it's just a little bit easier for me to control. And then that's pretty much it for the texture itself. Because everything below this is just duplicated from the top here, and then connected to a mixed color node. So we can just do that real quick. And the top one will always want to go into the A input, and the bottom one will always want to go into the B input. This is important because the looping system will affect the A and B inputs individually. So you want like the top one to always go on the top. You guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah, anyways, so that's pretty much all we need to do to set up the base textures for those little ripples, bubbles, anything as far as water goes. And now we can get into the I'll bring these down here. We can get into the looping node setup. So I'm just gonna...
I go over the looping nodes in a lot more depth in the full stream, which is available for YouTube channel members and patrons for as low as $1 a month. And I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone who supports my channel, especially my Elder Mug members, who will get their hands on this whole project file on September 1st. But getting back into the stream, to set up the looping node system, we just used 5 different math nodes, and either 2 value nodes or 2 math nodes for personal preference to motivate the texture's animation on the X, Y, and or Z axis. With the looping node group switching between the 2 textures we have to seamlessly loop our water on any given frame. And after doing a little more cleanup, we were able to begin adding some color to our water. So what we have going on is a regular mix color, right? And the mix color, the color ramp is not plugged into the A or B, it's plugged into the factor. And what that allows us to do is just give the A, which will always be the black color, we can give that a little bit of a color here. Maybe we want this a little bit darker. Yeah, something like that. That looks pretty good. And then we can give the B input, which is the bubbles that we have here. We can give that a color too, and we probably want to make this a little bit lighter. There we go. A little bit lighter, a little bit less saturation. Lighter colors, they tend to look a little bit strange if they have a ton of saturation, at least with things like water and whatnot. And then the darker you go, the more saturation the color will have. So now we'll probably want to move on to the edges, and that will involve our little handy dandy geometry node setup here, which is very simple and very easy to implement into your texture here. What we have here is a collection info node. And the reason why we have a collection info node in here isn't because I searched for it or anything. It's because I literally just grabbed one of these collections here and I just dropped it in, right? And it will automatically open up that node. And what this is used for is to detect the things that are touching the edges of the water. It's almost like a proximity detector, basically. So that's plugged into, as you can see here, it's just plugged into the group out input. And the reason for that is because instead of constantly going into the geometry node setup, I can very easily just click on the modifier setup and select which collection I want this to be affecting. But I usually tend to want to name that collection edges, just so that it's easier to remember, and put all of the objects that you want to affect the water and have little ripples and shadows around in that collection, right? Pretty simple to do, pretty easy. And I've actually changed the result from its regular output type to color. So it'll probably start off as float, and you just want to change that to color. And what that will allow you to do is that'll allow for the shader to use this geometry node setup. I then went on to reconstruct this simple geometry node setup from just looking at it, which is a method one of my patrons ended up asking me about. I'm reading your message here. Let me see. How did I learn? Was it studying nodes, tutorials, trial or error, or a mix? It was a mix of a lot of different things. So I started learning through tutorials, but I noticed that I wasn't like learning the exact functions of the nodes themselves. I was just putting together a final product, if you will, right? I didn't know how everything worked. So what I ended up doing, and this is what I would highly recommend to you or anyone else who's wanting to learn how to put together textures like these that are a little bit big. In order to fast track that process, I would highly recommend finding pictures on like Pinterest, screenshots of node setups, and there's a lot of like this right here, perfect example. And so what I would do is I would just look at them and try to reconstruct them, even if they were a little bit blurry,
like this one is. It's pretty zoomed out, and it didn't matter if it was like in a different language or whatnot, because it would just make me have to search all of the different node functions to see which one looked the same. It's actually really smart. I used to reverse engineer trinkets and stuff around the house. I've never thought of doing that in Blender. Yeah, no, it is one of my favorite ways to learn is to just reverse engineer things. So highly recommend.
We then took the color attribute we named in the geometry node group earlier and brought it into the shader editor under the same name.
Type in edge, or just grab it right there. Now we can see as I move this around, the texture for the shader is moving along with the object. You can see the cube a little bit more clearly like this, right? So I'm moving that around, and the geometry node is basically, or the geometry node setup is basically detecting the proximity between my cube and my base texture. And all of that is being translated through this color attribute node, which is pretty cool in my opinion. I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm just gonna move this over to the side.
And after duplicating the node group we just built and connecting our looping node setup to motivate the ripple animation in tandem with our color attribute, we had almost finished building the base of our water's edge ripples and shadows.
And now if I press play, yeah, now we have that ripple effect where it's just going away from whatever object we have. And I can move this around, and it'll be doing that in any direction that we see here, which is perfect. It's exactly what we want.
Everything was coming together quite nicely. Though, admittedly, I did have to look back at my original node setup more than a few times to make sure I was connecting everything correctly.
Am I thinking of this correctly? See, this is why I have the cheat code up here. Okay, so I'm gonna take a little bit of a cheat here and just look into how I set this color attribute up.
And with one final duplicate node group, we added the edge shadows to our water shader and used a mix shader node to add a little bit of optional transparency around the ripples to give our shader a little more depth.
So yeah, that's how you can add different layers and different levels to your water shader. And Manny, because you weren't here before, let me show you what the whole thing is actually supposed to look like. So as you can see, I'm gonna press play. It's gonna run a little bit slower just because there's so many more elements in this scene. But we have these little pillars and whatnot that I can move these around, and it'll just adjust in real time to whatever you put in there, as long as it's in your edge collection or whatever collection that you've like tied your geometry setup to. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like it. This is actually going to be available on Patreon at the start of next month, the first of next month. And it's also going to have this, but the water was the main thing that I wanted to focus on for this stream. And then next stream, I'll probably either focus on doing rock textures and or doing the grass textures. The story about the grass textures is really funny. I spent like 2 to 3 hours hand painting a bunch of different textures that I could use as alphas, but it ended up like not working at all. So I made all of this procedurally, except for one base texture, which was still hand painted. But everything else that you see in here is made procedurally. A lot of fun stuff that you can do with nodes. But Manny, do you have any particular questions, any specific questions for like a scene that you're working on, or just in general a question for water or nodes?
I then got to answer a question one of my patrons had about a project he's been working on, which was actually my favorite part of the whole stream. Hearing about what you guys are creating really inspires me to continue refining my own skills, and I'd love to read about what you're working on in the comment section below, as well as any suggestions for future streams. I plan on streaming my progress on making my short films and asset packs weekly, with 2 public streams a month, and I'd love to hear your suggestions. But if you want to learn more about creating stylized textures in Blender, I made a quick tutorial going over my top 3 tips that I recommend, and you can click on it right now.